Hi everyone, John Formica here, the ex-Disney guy and America's customer experience coach. Bringing you another tip, another strategy that if Disney ran your business, what would it look like? Secrets to create a Disney-like culture, magical customer experience, and winning spirit in your environment today. Well, I'm talking about relationships, and that's right, relationships are magical. And what I mean by magical is that there's a great saying. If you can build relationships that last, you build a business that will last. And really, most of us are not in a business of products or selling products or services. We're in the relationship business. It's all about building those relationships. And the companies and businesses that can build those relationships are those that create that loyalty, that stickiness, that top-of-mind awareness that we will talk about, we will refer our friends and neighbors and relatives to, and that's how you build your business. So making relationships magical are very, very important in that customer experience. And again, if we're talking about people, customers will remember people over product or service, and it's usually because we build relationships. Just think about it. Don't we like to do business with people we like? That's right. Well, how do we like them? It's usually because we built some sort of relationship. We have a good understanding with each other, and we enjoy their company. Therefore, we don't mind walking into their business, doing businesses, calling up on the phone, or answering the phone when that business calls. So we want to make sure that we build those relationships. And I have a lot of good tips and pointers that will help you build those relationships. The first thing that you need to keep in mind is this. It's probably the most important piece in building relationships and making them magical. And that is to be interested, not interesting. That's right. Be interested in them, what they're looking for, what their needs and wants are, what their emotions are. Be interested in them, not be interesting. And I come across lots of salespeople, and I do sales training for lots of businesses and organizations. And many times when I'm working with salespeople, I find that they're very interesting. Yeah, they come from a diverse background. They've had lots of experience in selling and sales. They have great success. And they like to talk about it. They like to talk, they ramble on and on and on and talk about their products and all the amenities and all the services of the products and the features. And all those things are well and good, and they're important. But what happens is we bore the customer. That's right. No relationships can be formed if that person's doing all the talking. So the secret is to be interested in your customers, in your clients. Ask them questions. Let them do the talking. And when they do that, you find interesting facts and numbers and figures and all kinds of criteria about them, their personal lives, their family lives, what exactly they're looking for in their business. What are they struggling with? What are they excited about? All those things are emotional, and that's where you can start to begin and build those relationships. So again, be interested and not just interesting. And the secret is in making relationships magical is to engage in conversation with your customers and clients. Now let me give you a tip, a real little secret that Disney does that you may not even pick this up if you've ever been to Disney World or Disneyland. And this right here is a Disney name badge. It's actually my original name badge that I had when I was a cast member at Disney for many years. Now you may have a difficult time seeing this, but it really has my name on it. It's got a Mickey character on it. And it has a first name. Why first name? It's because Disney wants to be on a first name basis. Think about it. Relationships are more valuable. Relationships are easier to start once we know people's name. Plus, a first name is less formal. It's kind of interesting. When I was at Disney, Michael Eisner, the CEO of the company, went by a name badge of just Michael. In fact, many times he changed it to Mike because when people knew it was Michael, they kind of put together his face, and Michael knew perhaps it was Michael Eisner. But the point is, it was a first name, and it's easy to remember, and it's easy to look at, and now that customer, that client knows your name, just like you do if you're walking around Disney. But what's also interesting about Disney name badge is that on the bottom of the name badge, it has, in this particular case, it says Bayshore, New York. And what does Bayshore, New York mean? Well, Bayshore, New York is my hometown, where I was born and raised. And what's interesting about that on the name badge is this. when a guest or a customer sees the name badge, they notice my first name, but then they notice where I'm from. Guess what? That strikes up a conversation. Oh, Bayshore, New York. Where in New York is that? I know friends from New York, or I love New York. I love visiting the city, or New York is where I have relatives, or whatever it might be. We will start the conversations about New York or wherever that person is from. But guess what happens next? And this is where the magic begins. What do you think the cast member at Disney says back to the guest? Where are you from? And guess what? Now we know first name basis because we'll ask them their name. We'll find out where they're from. And now we're beginning that relationship and we're beginning that connection. And of course, we are more interested than just being interesting. So it's a great little tip and unique way of doing it. And any business can do this. Now I know a lot of companies use sort of badges now, really on lanyards and so forth. They're not really, may perhaps use a name badge. I'm a big fan of name tags. Right there, easy to see. Now I've seen some companies put the name, the logo of the company to be huge and then the name of the person to be small. Why not reverse that? Why not have the name of the person, the employee's name big and that company's logo smaller? Obviously, if a person walked into that business, they know what business they walked into. So it's a great way of engaging. But think of other ways that you can engage and build those relationships right away. Here's a couple of other tips. Be the first one to say hello. That's right. When you have a customer approach you, give them a sincere greeting. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Be the first to do that. Research will tell you that if a customer says hello to the employee first, the customer often thinks that, gee, if I didn't say hello first, that employee might not have ever said anything to me. So you want to make sure that you're the first person to reach out, say hello, acknowledge them. It's a great way of beginning those magical relationships. Try to remember people's names if you've seen them before, particularly your existing companies, existing clients and customers. Everybody loves to hear their name. And especially if you know their name and they know your name, guess what? It's a great way to begin those relationships. So you want to make sure that you try to do the best you can to remember people's names. And by doing that, you're always going to make people feel important, not just like any other number. So there's a great way of doing that so that you can acknowledge their names, but also try to remember them. Obviously, make them feel important by sharing other things. Maybe acknowledge their children or their pets. It's a great way. You know, our pets and our kids are important to customers. So if you can acknowledge them, so how are your kids? Or I understand they're in school, or did they graduate? Or your pet, those sort of things. It's a great way of connecting and being involved in that. So it's a great way to look at those and other ways to connect with your customers so that you can make and begin to make those relationships magical. It's a great tip to understand because people will do business with people they like. And there's no better way of liking people than to build those relationships. So go out there with your staff and try to build relationships with your customers, whether they're new customers or they're new, existing customers. Be interested, not interesting, and that's when you begin to make that magic. Another great tip to help you create and make that customer experience more magical